I've realized I've been doing this show for a while now, and I haven't actually fully told my entire story. Why am I here? How did I get here? Why am I going on this next football trial? Why have I decided to do these things? Who am I? I think I'm going to answer those questions today. It'd be a very good idea for me to talk about who I am and how I got here. So, how did I truly get here? This is my football autobiography so far. So, football or soccer for you Americans, well, I'm from Canada, so we call it soccer here too. I'm going to interchange the words. It has been my love and my greatest passion since I was a child. I have been playing the sport, and it was the thing. It was the thing for me. It was the thing that kind of gave me, I don't know, a bit of like happiness. And as a kid, I always was saying, "Oh, I want to be a professional soccer player when I grow up." And then everyone around me is like, yeah, but everyone kind of has those things. Even as a kid, I was saying I also wanted to be a professional hockey player. Like, I wanted to play hockey despite not really knowing how to skate at all. I was good at ball hockey, though, as a kid. That's a fun fact. But not, not, not ice hockey. Forget about it. So, kids, you could have a bunch of random ideas and thoughts and emotions based on the things that are happening around you right now. But soccer continued. I was playing like, more recreational, just type for fun for a little bit. And then I joined like a smaller team. Here in Canada, we call it rep. I don't know what it's called anywhere else. It's not really like an official, like, it's not like in the professional league structure. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of also like a recreational team, to be honest. And I was at that team for a little while. A humble club. We had, a lot of ups and downs. But for me as an individual player, I was trying to find myself. I couldn't really find myself. I had this love of the game. I loved the sport. But then I kind of fell out of love for this great sport because I sucked. I used to be a striker, an attacking player, and I would be a striker that basically couldn't score goals. So I'd be just playing backup, always lots of time on the bench, missed chances, missed tap-ins, all that kind of stuff, just waning on my confidence. So I slowly distanced myself a little bit from football. Coaches that I didn't really like, that kind of hated me as well. So I took a step back. I had a moment where I didn't really care for football at all. I didn't watch any games. I didn't I didn't really train outside of my own training sessions, and I was just, playing video games, being a dumb little kid basically. And that was affecting my performances on the field. Obviously, I was only getting worse and worse, and things were truly very bad for me. The most goals I ever scored in a season was 6, and 6 goals is not a lot. You play like 20 or 30 games. You should be, if you want to be a good player and you want to have any chance of making it, which is obviously what I'm thinking about doing, you got to be doing more than that. So then COVID hit, right? I had a few bad seasons. I actually had, I missed a huge chance in a cup final. Our team, as a team, we kind of were like up and down, right? Like, for the most part, we were actually kind of bad, but we had a couple of good years. And in one of those years, we made it to a cup final. We actually did terribly in the league, but we just forgot about the league. We had a very good cup run. And in the final, I was basically I was one-on-one with a goalkeeper that wasn't even a goalkeeper because the other team's goalkeeper got sent off earlier in the game for slide tackling one of our players and injuring him completely. So it's a goalkeeper that is not he's not a real keeper. I'm one-on-one with him. I'm playing right wing. The ball is kind of hoofed forward and behind. It gets behind. I'm starting wide and coming into it, if you can imagine it. I'm starting wide and then I'm moving inward. And then I just fluff at the ball. The goalie comes out and I just, instead of being calm, taking it around him and having an open net or just chipping it over him, I just fluff it and the ball goes that way. It goes super far wide of the net. I don't even know where it went, but it did not go in the net and it went super far wide. And at that moment in the game, I think the game we were losing we were losing 1-0 maybe. I don't remember the exact point in the game. It might have been at 0-0, honestly. It might have been when the game was at 0-0. We went on to lose the cup final 2-1. And like I hated myself for that. And I was like as mad as I've ever been, as distraught as I've ever been because I missed this huge chance, and it kind of only confirms the biases that I already know to be true, that I'm a striker that can't finish. And I'm like, well, where is my identity going to be? How am I ever going to and how am I ever going to be a professional if I'm continuing to slack off outside the field, not try and improve, and on the field I have this horrible, horrible confidence, this horrible thing, like just crying after every game because I'm still a kid. I'm crying after every game. I'm just sulking every time I miss a shot. Like our team would win. This happened. Our team would win 9-0. But at the end of the game, I would cry because I only played for 10 minutes, and like one of my own teammates took the ball off of me because like I was trying to dribble it, and he's a cocky guy and he didn't think I was like good. So because obviously I actually wasn't good. So I was pissed off at that. But we won 9-0, and I'm crying. I'm bawling my eyes out in the car on the way home because it's looking hopeless. That's the truth. Is that it was truly, truly looking hopeless. So after all those things, this was maybe like the period in between like 2017, 2019. All of these things were happening. These things were going on. And then 2019-20 season, the start of that year, it was a winter season. We played some games 11v11, other games small side 6v6. I actually was doing well. Combination of 11v11 and 6v6. Because I had started training a little bit more, I started to go to the gym a little bit more when I started high school, and I scored 11 goals. 11 goals, and the season was cut short because of COVID. So I was actually on good pace. Like, I was not doing so bad. I scored my only ever hat trick in that season, too, where I literally scored a hat trick in I scored a hat trick in like a minute and a half. It was the craziest thing. It was small sided, 6v6, so, say whatever you want about it. That, like, oh, it's not actually like a real, not full field, right? So it's not as impressive. But I still cherish it. Because literally, like, first goal came, then immediately after I scored the second, and then literally immediately after I scored the third. And it was like boom, 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 and I was just hyped and motivated. And then we lost the game. We lost the game 4-3, which is just, that's the funniest thing, right? Like, for that moment, I was that one guy, that meme that's like, we lost 5-4, scored all four. That like Snapchat, like kind of message meme. That was how I felt after that. But that was the only time I ever did something like that, and we didn't even win the game. But it was actually like going to be a good season. The rest of the season probably would have continued to be good. 11 goals isn't horrible. But then COVID hits, right? And then I got a lot of thinking to do. Right? I got a lot of self-reflection to do where I'm like, and I guess it's a good thing to be 14, 15, 16 years old and already reflecting about where I want to go with my life, like where I'm taking things. And I realized that I'm not doing enough off the field. I'm not training hard enough. Like, I'm saying that I want to be a professional soccer player, but I'm not actually doing it. The actions are not correlating with the words that are coming out of my mouth when I'm saying that I have this dream. So let's make those actions. Let's actually start implementing those actions. So I had a very hard training routine during COVID. Made sure I worked out every single day. And it was a level of consistency that I've never had really ever since, because obviously you had so much time on your hands during COVID. You have the choice of what you were meant to do, right? What you were to do, either waste so much time, and I did a lot of that, but I always dedicated time to working out and time to spend with family. Those were good values to have and a good foundation at a young age still for me. Like, perhaps if COVID didn't hit, I could have made my journey to Portugal a little bit earlier, and that's, I guess, a spoiler for those of you who don't know. I didn't end up going to Portugal, but that's later on. If COVID didn't hit, maybe I would have been able to make it earlier and have better development and all this stuff. But honestly, I think, and I'm going to get into this as well, God truly has a plan. And even in bad circumstances and things that on the surface could look like you're being held back from something, there's also some hidden gems and hidden lessons from every experience. So I think COVID was an example of that for me. It was a test to see, all right, you have all this time. What are you going to do with it? And I think for the most part, I did pretty well with it. Although I look back and I maybe am a bit harsh on myself when I say that maybe I shouldn't have spent so much time. Like I watched a lot of YouTube gaming content, like many hours a day, and I would make sure to spend 2 hours a day working out and then some time with family. Maybe I wish I had spent more time like learning things, like learning about financial things. But at the same time, I'm 15. Like all gyms are closed, all training sessions are done. We're not playing any games or anything. So it was good growth, I think. It was good growth and I made the right decisions, and it was kind of the beginning of me subconsciously deciding that all right, I'm going to make more of this dream than just me being a kid saying that I want to be a pro soccer player. I'm going to make more of this. And it was really that time that I had to reflect during COVID that made that that idea super abundantly clear to me. So when we were done, I actually pushed too much. I actually was doing too much because now that we had regular training sessions and games, and I was trying to incorporate the old workout routines I was doing during COVID and trying to do everything. And then I ended up completely burning myself out because I went too much. So I had to like kind of take a step back a little bit. And that first season back was my last season at striker. It went horribly. Like I had all this confidence going in because I was like, you know what, during COVID I made sure to do what I do everything possible, really engage in the game, and I never watched more football ever in my life and learned about tactics and stuff and got tactical understanding and wrote in my journal, and I have like tactical sketches of what I'm supposed to do in my position. I never did that anywhere near as much as I did during COVID because I had so much time, but I found more of a love for the sport. I'd be over here watching Bournemouth versus West Brom in the championship. That game ended 2-2. I don't know why I remember that, but it just feels like an obscure game to be watching. But that's how into it I was. Like I was actually watching those types of games. I think it was like 2021, maybe 20 no, I think it was 2021 season. 2021-22 season. I don't think it was the COVID year. I think it was right after that. Because by 21-22 season the fans were already back in the stadiums. All that stuff was it was finally starting to end. We were finally starting to see an end to the pandemic. And say what you want about the pandemic, I'm not going to get political. I'm just looking at my own life and what I learned from being stuck at home. I learned that so many people, and I saw it with the people around me, that people were so much fatter. They came out. There was like many guys I've seen. They were super skinny before COVID, and then I see them for the first time after COVID. They have blown up like a balloon, and like I'm not under exaggerating that. That is absolute. Sorry, over. I'm not over exaggerating that. That is super what happened. So I realized that all these people, they chose to just sit around and eat all day and not do anything, whereas I made the choice to work out and stay fit and analyze soccer games and actually try and do as much as I can to push towards my dreams, even with the setbacks that are there. So that was a good lesson I learned during COVID, and that is what kind of helped develop me even more. But then after COVID, right, it was a messed up season. It was a messed up season. I scored in the first game. Was it? No, sorry, not in the first game. First game we got destroyed by a team that was like way better than us that should have never been in our division ever. Second game was with a very good team, but I scored. I had actually a very similar type of chance that I had in that cup final a few years earlier. And this time instead of tripping out and missing the net, I just chipped it over the keeper and it landed in the net and it was a goal. And it was the first goal of the game. We were winning 1-0. But then what really kind of destroyed me was the fact that at this point it was 2-1 later in the game, like 60th minute, second half. 2-1. I have a tap in and I miss the net. I sky the ball. My teammate, he makes a good run. Someone plays it into him. He's at the goal line. He cuts it back. The keeper's out of the game. All I have to do is with my right foot, I'm running onto it. I just have to place it into the far corner and I sky the ball. I hit it way too high and it goes over. And then the other team ends up equalizing. We tie the game 2-2. That pisses me off. And that really sets the tone for the rest of that season, where I missed a lot of big chances. I scored 4 goals, which isn't terrible, but I skied a penalty. I missed a lot of terrible chances. And it's like, I realized that, I'm improving in some aspects, but my confidence is horrible. just so hard on myself, so harsh on myself, and it's so bad that it's not like a good harsh. You know what I mean? It can be a good harsh where you're like, all right, I'm doing bad, so stop doing bad. Like, let's go. Like, motivational type of, like, you're hard on yourself to strive to do better. It wasn't that at all. It was a just like a sulking type of harshness on myself, being like, oh, I'm never gonna make it. I'm in the middle of the game and I'm questioning myself. I'm like I had a few bad touches. Like, I'm a ghost, right? Because sometimes a striker can be a very slow game, and I'm over here questioning it. I'm like, how how am I ever going to make it when I'm continuing to play like this? I'm just this skinny kid still. This skinny kid with goggles. I used to wear goggles, and I'm a striker that can't score goals. How on earth am I going to ever make it? And this is in the middle of the game. I'm questioning myself in these things. So that is not the right mindset to be putting into myself. So I'm slowly realizing this. It's like, I've done all this work. There's still a lot of work to be done, but mentally I'm just absolutely nowhere near. And it's always been this, like, I think too much, right? The overthinking is just so prevalent on the field, and then I make bad decisions, right? Even now I still have moments like that. But the difference between now and then, there's a lot of difference between now and then, and I'm going to get into it. So then at the end of that season, I was kind of pissed off, right? It was a short season. There was only 10 games because it was kind of, we were still getting back from COVID, but still, you look at 4 goals in 10 games, it's not that bad, but considering all the chances I had, I think maybe I should have scored 7 at least. And you could be saying that's a little harsh, but as a person trying to make it pro, you got to be setting the high standards. Perhaps I set standards way too high for myself back then, and that's why I constantly kept hating myself and falling short and just being this terrible trash player, like a striker that can't score goals. That is who I truly was. So then, 2021-22 season. It's basically only indoor, only 6v6, because I think the 11v11 leagues weren't even running because of the fact that our team didn't have enough players, I don't think, and also I think because of COVID it was just too complicated. Like, we were still just kind of getting back from it, so it was 6v6, and there were a lot of big teams in that 6v6 season. My team, we actually had 2 separate teams. Our coach actually did a really, really smart thing. He put all of the attacking players on one team, and he put all of the defensive players on another team. And then we had 2 separate teams. That was a honestly, looking back on it, that was genius, because it's helped shape me into a good defender. Like, being on a team where everyone's an attacking player, so a few of the attacking players have to delegate and be defending players, and vice versa for the other team. But basically what happened that year was absolutely amazing. It started slow. It started slow for me. I got an assist in the first game. Like, I was still playing in the front. Like, I was still playing attacking position. But we won some games. We lost some games. We were kind of like low middle table. That's where we were. By the time that there was actually one more month that the government, for some reason, shut things down for another month in January 2022. I don't know if it was all of Canada or just Ontario, but there was another month of COVID shutdown, so we had a few games be delayed again. Right before that shutdown, I scored my first goal. We lost the game, but I scored my first goal. We actually did a back-to-back. We had like 2 games in one day to try and compensate for I'm pretty sure that's why, to try and compensate for the fact that we would have a month with no games because of this outbreak that the outbreak and then the shutdown that the government announced. And first game, I'm just going to talk about it. First game, it's back and forth. It's against a pretty good team. Like, I think they were like 3rd in the league at that point. We're still pretty low down. And I think they score early, but then we hit back. And for me, personally, I had a defensive masterclass in that game. I didn't really go forward, but in the defense, I locked people up completely. That wasn't the game that actually shaped me going back to center back, though. There's a few other games that I'm going to talk about and be more specific about. But in this game, this is really what changed our season, I think. The fact that with literally 20 seconds left on the clock, it's timed games because they're small-sided. That's how it works. It's timed. The second the buzzer goes at the clock, it's like hockey. It's done. It's finished. 20 seconds left. 20 seconds left. I make a pass, and then someone else plays the ball forward, and then he's in behind, and then he squares it. He sweaties it, and my teammate finishes it, taps it into open net. We win the game. We walk off. We win the game 2-1. In the second game, we kind of get destroyed a little bit, but I scored my first goal near the end of the game, and it was a good goal. I won the ball, and I just dribbled it into the space, and the defenders were backing up, jockeying, and I just kind of was faking them until they opened up, and then I shot it and it went in. And that was my first goal of the season, and that's what really kick-started after the shutdown, the month shutdown for some reason we had, that second half of the season, which was truly special. One more thing I want to say before that second half of the season was in that first half of the season, there was another game where we were 5-1 down at halftime against the league leaders. And we were getting destroyed. Halftime, 5-1. The coach decides to play me at center back. Not center back, but in the defensive position. Because there's no other options. We're getting destroyed. Let's just see what happens. And that was probably my best game. I'd probably pinpoint that game as the game that really cemented me in the defense. And my shift in position started to change as a result of this whole experience with small side 6v6. And what happened was we almost came back. We almost did. I made it this thing where I was a defender, but I would also go forward. I'd be the fourth man in the attack. So I would actually score a lot of goals doing that, despite being a defensive player, and I also was super solid at the back as well. But what happened was I dribbled it forward. I got in a good space. I just laid it off to my teammate, and he finished it well for 5-2. And then I'm kind of staying back as my teammates are combining. We bring it back to 5-4. And then really the worst part happens where I have another tap in, this time on my left foot. The last time it was on my right foot. The last story I told was on the right foot. This time it's on the left foot. Same type of thing. He's at the goal line. He sweaties it back to me. It's coming back to me. And the goalie's out of the game. And then somehow, some way, I have complete net. And I just kick it wide. I kick it wide of the post that way. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed. It was so weird because that is the biggest chance we would have tied the game being 5-1 down. We ended up losing 5-4. The score ended 5-4. That was how it ended. But it was a little bit different. Maybe it's that mentality that I'm a defender now. I'm not the pressure's not really on my shoulders as much anymore. Perhaps it was a little bit of that. At the same time, it was also the adrenaline. I was playing super well. That mistake didn't really that missed tap in completely open. It was a little bit different from the last one I talked about, but this one was completely open and I missed. And that's also when I decided, okay, I gotta start training my left foot a little bit more, and you'll see how that kind of starts to shape me going forward. But that game, as well as the game right before the shutdown, that slowly started to change the mentality within us. And then we came back from the shutdown, and I came back individually as well from the shutdown, completely different animals. We won from that point onward. We did not lose a game until the final game of the season, which by that point we had already won the league. We had managed to win, I think, 12 games. We won 11 and drew 1, and the only reason we drew that game is because the ref gave a last second stupid penalty to the other team in a super hard fought contest with another team fighting for the title. But I scored 10 goals. My attacking teammates, they scored 15 goals, 17 goals each. We just exploded. We beat our other team, the team of all defenders, 2-0. And it was just we just kept on rolling. So we ended up winning the league. And despite like a very slow start, we completely ran through everyone. We only lost in the final game of the season. That was also a chaotic game. But by that point, we had already been confirmed as champions. So that, or I think after the game we were confirmed as champions. It was not a very special celebration. Only after the fact did we lift the trophy and have a little bit of fun there. But I became a leader in the defense. I became a defender. I became a leader, and that season shaped me. That season was the first big one that shaped me into who I am now. And then going into the summer season where we're now playing 11v11, first few games, I was the captain, but I was still at striker because we didn't really have anyone to play that position. But we also didn't have anyone really at center back. So there was one friendly game I played where I should have had a hat trick, but I didn't get a single goal. Same type of thing. The striker that can't score goals is back at it again. Like one, literally I'd steal the ball off the keeper and then I turn and hit it over the net. Again, like clear open net, farther out, but still clear open net. Another one, I'm in behind, I hit the post. And then a third one, I'm in behind with my left foot, I skied over the net. I should have scored all three of those. We lost the friendly 4-2, and that was really the start of the doubts. So I was kind of being shifted, sometimes playing striker, sometimes playing in the back. And then after this other cup game where we got knocked out of the cup because I missed another couple of horrible, horrible chances. It's inevitable. I actually talked about this one in a video I uploaded that's still actually on my Instagram. I uploaded it like a long time ago, like well over a year ago. I uploaded this video talking about this story. That's what really, really, really cemented my position as center back in 11v11 proper football. All of my learning from 6v6 needed to kind of be redone a lot for the full field proper game. So after I missed those chances in the cup final, we got knocked out. We lost 4-2 again. Again, if I scored the chances at 2-2, it would have made a huge difference. We probably would have won the game. But we get knocked out. So basically from that point onward, I am a center back for the rest of the season. And I do well. I'm learning on the job. I make a few mistakes here and there. I'm still struggling in a lot of aspects. But I'm learning and I'm doing well. And I did pretty solid considering I'm a guy that hasn't played center back. Our team was depleted. We never really had that many players that were super committed. We finished like mid-table that season. And it was, yeah. I'm just like kind of thinking about that and reminiscing about that. How I was a center back really for the first time, but I was actually the full captain. Like I was a real leader. And I was slowly growing into the player I am now, but still super far away from that because there were a lot of things. I was still super skinny. I still had a lot of issues and defensive problems, of course. But I look back on that and I'm like, yeah, that was really where the big growth was, playing that season in 11v11 at center back. And then basically we had a second season, winter season, 6v6 again. We go out and we win the league back to back. I'm not going to go too deep into this season because this season was a little bit different. It was a little bit weird. It wasn't the same as the first season. Like we really had to battle for the victory. And again, we started super slow, but then slowly made our way up, and the league was a lot weaker. But for the most part, like when we had to play against big teams, we choked a little bit, and then we won the league, and then there was the playoff cup, which was first place versus second place, which is just an extra trophy they had for whatever reason. And in that game, we went 3-0 down because we had our struggles that year. And we weren't exactly as dominant as we were the first time around. We had our struggles in that year, so as a result, we went 3-0 down. But our resilience and my performance, not to brag, but my best performance ever for that club, ever, in the 8 years I was there. Getting an assist to make it 3-1 right before halftime, and then me actually scoring with my left foot. That season, I scored half my goals with my left foot and the other half with my right. I scored 11 or 12 goals that season. Again, from the defense, same type of thing. I'm like defending, but I'm also coming up being the fourth man. I played a little bit more in the attack because I was scoring goals that year. And I was actually finishing well. But because I had trained my left foot up to get a lot better, I was then like kind of half and half. I still had bad moments. I still had bad games. I still had games where I wasn't really confident, but I was a lot more of a force in the team, I think. When like in games where it was really tight and they needed someone to set something up and get a goal, I'd be that guy. Usually it would be me who would just make a turn, make one quick play, put it in, do a step over, get an assist, cross it into a good area where someone else puts it in, some super clutch moment. Like I had a lot of clutch moments in that season. Again, the most in my entire time with the club. Albeit in 6v6, I still cherish those times. And I still look back with a good fondness. And we did win the back-to-back. And then we came back and we tied the game 3-3 and we won on penalties. And it was just a great moment. We celebrated. We actually had a super great celebration versus the first time where it was like kind of awkward. But we had done it. It was so good, so powerful. And it was like, yes, we did it. We back-to-back. And by this point, I had already really made the decision that I was going to go to Portugal. I had developed a lot as a player. I became a lot bigger of a leader, and have been the captain of the team. But really, really, there was still a lot for me to learn. And this is really only the beginning. I'm going to go a little bit faster through it, but this is really the origins. This is how I kind of decided to go to Portugal. It was because I still loved the game. That childlike love for the game was still present. And I really didn't really want to go to some university in some crappy town because I got like a scholarship, not a full scholarship, but they paid like $7,000 for me to go, which is like what, an eighth of my full tuition. But it's still something. But it was to some like crappy town in the middle of Ontario, and I'm not going to reveal what it is. I'm sure some of you know if you're someone that I know that's watching this video. But I got an offer and I didn't want to go to university. I really didn't see the value in that. So I saw more value in going and pursuing my greatest dream. So the best way to go and do that was we ended up deciding for me to go to Portugal because I have cousins there. So I lived with them and it was super easy for me to transition to it. I knew a little bit of Portuguese because my family's also Portuguese. I grew up kind of around these types of people. Although there was still a lot to learn in every aspect, whether it be the language, whether it be the sport. Absolutely. But it was an easy decision at that point. So by the time we had won the second league, I already knew that I was going to be done. There were a few other people on the team that already knew they were going to be done with that team as well. So I actually was able to train with them for a little bit until I went. Like we ended the season in like April or something. So I had a couple months where I just trained with them and watched some of their games, kind of played coach for a little bit. It kind of was like a half assistant manager for a couple of months. And then it was time for me to go. So then at that point I left. That was an easy decision for me. I left. I made it happen. At this point I'm 17 years old. And again, if not for COVID, I probably would have done it earlier. But because now I've graduated high school, it's time to move on. I think this is the right thing to do. And I still stand by it. Looking back on those years in Portugal, I wouldn't really have it any other way. But this is what happened. In Portugal, there's ups and downs. I join a team that isn't good. Frankly, isn't good. We lose 16 games in a row. I develop a lot of faith in God because of those pains. Jesus Christ truly brings me to Him fully, which is a huge part of my journey, has become based on faith and the huge faith I have. And continuing to push even when things feel bleak is about just that faith and the strength from God truly helping me through the tough moments. But we lost 16 games in a row. And at the end of the season, I was promoted because I was good. Like at center back, I stopped wearing the goggles, obviously. I started wearing contacts. I shaved my head. Like literally went buzz cut to say, screw it. Like we're going to do this. I was the captain of that team. It was under 19 team. I was captain of that team, but we sucked. Near the end of the season, I got the promotion and I started training with and then made my debut, played for the senior team, and they had won the league. So technically, having played a little bit in the final game of their season, I had also been eligible to receive the honors of joining them in their celebrations of winning the league. And those were super fun. That was a good fun moment. It proved that I was good enough to at least get that little accolade as well. And then I went on my first trial because again, this team wasn't very good and there was a lot of mentality I still had to learn. But I think this first trial taught me a lot. First trial in another club in Portugal, third division team. I'm not going to reveal the information, but what happened was this was a thing that I went to, and it was just me. It was me. I met the coaches. I made a good first impression because they were impressed that I spoke Portuguese so well because I had learned it through just, constantly talking to people and being out there and being in the football sphere in Portugal for a year. By that point, I had already known a lot about the language. So they were impressed. I made a good first impression. And then obviously I had my problems on that trial. I had just bought new cleats and I had blisters. Crazy blisters that were so painful and so deep in my feet. And I had some stomach problems. I had stomach problems throughout the season. That's a whole other issue. Like, I'm not even going to get into that. But I had kind of shaken them off and gone through them. And then on this trial, they were starting to come back a little bit. So I had to deal with these things. And what I learned from that is that truly nobody cares. At the end of the day, it's a harsh lesson to realize, but at the end of the day, they're going to look at me for what I'm doing on the field. They don't care if I have an injury or a little bit or blisters in my feet and I'm like limping when I'm running. They don't care if I have a stomach problem and I'm like trying to conserve my energy or literally trying to fight this horrible pain. They don't care. They care about what I'm actually doing with the ball at my feet on the field. And a lot of that was impacted by these issues, but they still liked me as a player. They still thought I was decent. I was better defensively than I had ever been. On that trial, I proved that defensively, like from the kid that was a striker that couldn't score goals, becoming like a monster center back was really being realized in that moment on that trial. But I didn't make it. It was a lot of complications, but at the end of the day, they were like, you know what, man? You're decent. We'd like to have you as a training player, but there's really no spot for you on the team because we already have too many center backs. And it's like, all right, understandable. Have a good day. So I end up going back to my club, and now we're playing for senior B team, so it's a higher level. We're playing against older people. That's always going to help me regardless of the level, like get stronger and get better. And it did. Like at this point, I'm growing in actual physical strength. I'm growing in mental strength. There's still a lot for me to learn though. In 2025, I felt that. I felt the pains. I had some of the worst games I ever had. I was trying to find my feet, and I would receive the ball at my feet, and I'd be nervous. I wouldn't know what to do, and my mind would blank out. I made some of the worst errors I've ever made in my career, and the pressure was just slowly getting to my head. It was coming back to that time I was as a kid, where back then it was about scoring goals. Now it's about the pressure that comes from building out from the back and not losing the ball and potentially conceding a big opportunity. I had to overcome that. And that really gave me a big kick in the face as well. The fact that no, I still have a lot to learn mentally. I'm nowhere near ready. I'm nowhere near ready yet. So I got over those hurdles. I got over those horrible games. We actually weren't that great of a team either. And we still finished bottom of the league. But at the end of the season, we actually won a few games. We managed to string a few wins together at the end of the season. We finally made it click. I was playing the best games of my life at center back and being so defensively good. And, building out from the back, the ball at my feet. Like I was finding that confidence again finally. And I'd finally overcome a lot of those hurdles. It's never going to be fully gone. But the more I'm mentally developing myself, the more I'm seeing my growth. So at this point now, I'm 19, right? It's already been pretty much 2 years in Portugal. I did that first trial. It didn't work out, but I learned a lot. Had a second season with my original team. We weren't very good, but still learned a lot. And truly, in those final games, I played some of the best football I've ever played in my career. I really do think that, as a center back. So then, I was searching for opportunities. I had to search for opportunities for the summer. And I found one. I found one in an agent who's willing to bring me to Spain. And so I did do it. And in August began one of the greatest experiences of my life. the trial for a second division team in Spain. It's a different format. It's like you have like 30 people just like me that want to make it going in there, and we're forming our own team and we're playing against other teams, and then we end up playing the U19s and we end up playing the U20, no, sorry, not the U23, the B team of the club. We go do a stadium tour. It's super cool. The experience and the people I met were so amazing. And honestly, on that trial, I was playing the best football ever. I was so confident because of the environment. It just allowed me to be calm. So I was calm on the ball. I was always pushing hard. I knew what I was doing. I didn't really make a lot of mistakes. I was a pretty good leader. I was talking, obviously being a leader, and continue to grow in that stature, because again, like my kind of half identity is the fact that I'm the captain. Right? I'm the guy that's the leader on the field. I'll be on the field, and as a center back, it's a lot easier. You get to, you scream at people, be like, man on, right? You make those calls, show for me, give me options, like, or just like, tuck in, shift over, side to side, step up, bring the line up, right? Those types of calls. I'd be kind of growing into that, and I kind of really got into my stride on that trial in Spain. Unfortunately, I didn't make it, but I think that's really down to the structure of everything that's been happening. There's a lot of growth for me to still have, and that's absolutely understandable. But really, the person I am now, the player I am now, like I did a couple of pickup sessions, I did a couple of things with friends, like my friends did a Sunday league team, and I just tagged along for a couple games. Like I realized like I'm a good player. Back then, I genuinely wasn't a good player. Like back, we're talking when I'm like 13 years old, 14 years old, even up until like 16 years old. I wasn't actually a good player. I actually sucked. I needed to put in that extra work. And once I started putting in that extra work, I finally reached the point where I could now truly look at myself. There's 6 days until sorry, not 6 days. There's like 4 or 5 days until my trial starts. And this is the next opportunity. Maybe the last, I'm not so sure. But it's my next opportunity. It's probably my biggest opportunity, my biggest chance to make it happen. And I look at it and I'm like, I'm not a bad player anymore. Like I have great talent. I have good skills with the ball at my feet. I know what to do. I've trained this into me. It becomes second nature, really. It's all about handling the mental side, and when you're under pressure to not fold and instead continue to do what you know how to do. That is what I'm trying to work on, because I know to do it. Back then, perhaps it was a lack of even knowing how to do it. Bad mentality, high standards that were way too high for my current ability, and the ability that just sucked. But continuing to train, continue to grow, continue to go through those experiences and those 2 years in Portugal playing the sport, and then that trial in Spain, now making it to this next opportunity I have right now, I'm probably like as confident as I've ever been. Despite these last few months, I haven't actually been in a team. I've just been really training on my own, focusing solely on pickups and the odd training session here and there, like a tryout with some other team that I'm literally just using to get my cardio up a little bit and get my game experience up a little bit. The odd one here and there, using those as ways to get fit. I haven't actually played in a team like actual games, but I have never been so confident in my abilities, because I've seen that like I'm actually good. Like I didn't just lose everything because I took a month off to do door-to-door sales. Absolutely not. Like I'm a good player, and if I truly go into this trial with the right mentality, truly like breaking those barriers that I had as a kid, and truly like seizing the opportunity and making the most of it, and truly just going out there with that can-do attitude, that positive attitude, that when things go wrong, to not be so angry at myself and not be so hard on myself, instead to keep going and keep pushing and let yourself make mistakes. If I come at this trial with that mentality, I will do super well. And it's just like, even if I haven't played that much these last few months, I've been training at a level super high, and I'm pretty ready to go. So physically, I'm ready to go. It's just the mental. And I've said this already a few times. The point is of this whole thing is, after that Spain trial in the summer, really, I was kind of at a standstill. I didn't really know. Do I really want to keep going? I ended up making the decision to come back to Canada because I was certain that I didn't want to play another season in Portugal. but I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep playing at all. I was training with the team here for a little bit, still just kind of in limbo, just trying to stay fit, trying to do well, give it my all. And they were fun training sessions. I enjoyed them. They were very good. We had a lot of fun times. And I was I even showed to the coaches of that team and to myself that I am a very good player. But I still didn't really know. I hadn't really decided yet if I really wanted to keep this going. But after making some money and door to door and spending a lot of time away from it, I think it's been reinvigorated. This idea that, yes, I should go and pursue this thing because there's absolutely no better decision for me in my life. Given the story that I have just told you about my entire journey, how I went from this skinny, scrawny kid who wore goggles, who was a striker that couldn't finish, who had horrible ability but set way too high standards for himself and never hit those standards, so he was always sad and crying and angry at himself. Going from that over a few years of setbacks, struggles, experiences, growth moments to being a physically strong, fit, loud leader, center back who's able to run games and have good control with the ball at his feet and be a very good defensive player is a really big change. It's a really, really big change from the guy I was back then. But even if I don't make it, there's still a lot to learn. As always, there's a lot to learn. And there's always more room for me to grow. Like if I stay in this game, perhaps at 22 years old, I'm way better than I am right now. If I stay in the game. Right? And I'm sure that would be the case. And that's the goal of life, really. To look back on a few years ago and just look at how much better you've become. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to achieve here in this life. And for my journey, this next chapter, this next thing that I'm now a part of, which is this football trial I'm going on, it is really the next step. And to me, it's just absolutely the obvious next step for me, given everything that's happened in my life so far. And my faith in God has never been stronger. I truly, truly believe that this whole journey, the setbacks, the growth, was a journey of faith as well. It wasn't necessarily just the journey of this athletic pursuit. It was also simultaneously a journey of faith, a journey of growing as a person, growing as a godly man. And I still have a lot of room to grow, and I still have a lot to go. But that's in both aspects, as a godly man, as a faithful person, and as a footballer. But to me now, it's so obvious to me that now they go hand in hand. That's how I live my life, through faith. And I'm doing this trial through faith. Like I made a video about it already. I already made a couple videos kind of talking about it, which you should definitely go watch if you've made it this far and you love this one. You should definitely go watch those. But faith and football are kind of hand in hand for me now. And back then when I first made the decision to move from Canada to Portugal, it actually wasn't really the case. And as a result of all of these things, it has slowly helped me understand that not just from a logical perspective, but also from a spiritual perspective, this trial and going and doing this and having another attempt at it is absolutely the right thing to do. No doubt in my mind about it. The growth I've had, the journey I've gone through, the experience that I've gone through, it's a different experience than many others would go through, and I'm so grateful for it. And hopefully I can continue to do certain different experiences like that, do these extraordinary type of things. Like nothing was there was no better decision in my life than making that move from Canada to Portugal. Just because it's me choosing to make more of my life and to pursue my dreams rather than follow the same path as everyone else. And that's what I encourage all of you to do. You can still be in school, but you should try and go and pursue those dreams. What makes you truly unique from other people? There's always going to be something. You can always find something. And that's really a lot of the lesson that I learned as a result of doing this. So it fills me up with really a great joy and a great passion that all of this has happened. The people that I met, the coaches I had, the laughs I had, the experiences I had, and also all the tough moments as well, obviously, have all really, to me, made this decision, vindicated the decision, despite me not being a professional just yet. And even if I wanted to make it to the World Cup this year, I'm probably not gonna. it's still so much to learn from in life, and it just fills me up with such passion that it's like I can't not go and do it again. So with my life, perhaps this football journey comes to an end one day, but I can say for certain that now is not that time. We are so far away from that time. So if there's really any inspiration and any really lesson you can take from this entire story, is that, it's a cliche, but absolutely anything is possible if you put your mind to it. If your mind is right and you put the work in, you can truly make miracles happen. Did that kid who was on the field looking up at the heavens with his goggles on his head, walking across, asking himself, how am I ever going to make it playing this bad? Is that kid, like, what would have happened to that kid if you told him that 4 years later, 5 years later, you wouldn't be a pro yet, but you would actually be a good player? If you told that kid that'd be absolutely amazing. He probably wouldn't believe you, to be honest. I am gonna be honest with myself. I probably wouldn't believe it if I went back in the past and told that version of me that I would be a good player. I don't think he'd believe all the things that have happened in my life. And I guess that's what we want to achieve. We want to really make those miracles happen. So that is my ultimate message of my entire story, is that yeah, anything is possible if you have the right mindset, you put the work in, and you go for those extraordinary things. You go and chase those dreams. You go and develop your faith and let God do the rest. And truly, what will happen is what will happen. And that is really it when it comes to this trial. So that is pretty much the extent of my story. There are many other stories in between, many other specific games I could have perhaps talked about as well. But I don't want to really go too much on a rant. I really just want to give you guys the real, genuine rundown of how I've made it to where I am now. And that's it. That's the story. That is how I have made it to where I am now, where now I am only a few days away from my next trial, my biggest opportunity, and probably the best chance I have of ever making it as a professional footballer. The best chance I've ever had up until this point, for sure. Maybe ever in my life. So leading up to this, that is who I was, and that is the story and journey of how I've become who I am now. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I kept it engaging. I hope that you enjoyed this story, that you feel inspired from this story, that, yeah, it was never this big pain. Like, I never had this horrible trauma that was inspiring me to go forward. I never wake up in the morning with this fire and desire in my belly to make it happen. But it's just the constant grit and constant grind of it, the slow but sure improvements and there's still a lot of room to grow, obviously. I still have a lot of issues that I have to sharpen out and smooth out a little bit. But still, to become that type of a person, to now becoming who I am now, and then who I will become in the future, I think it's a good story nonetheless. And I think it's an inspirational story for those of you who are pursuing football still, who maybe are in the position that I used to be, where you don't think you can make it. You think you're not a good player. You have all these mental doubts. But truly, you shouldn't let them shake you. You shouldn't let them break you. You shouldn't let them destroy your potential. Instead, continue to work. Like, logically analyze, what do you need to work on? And actually put the time and effort into working on those things. For me, probably one of the biggest was I was super skinny. I had to get bigger. So I started going to the gym. I started eating a lot more. And now I'm at the point where I'm actually at a pretty good size. I have a lean muscle mass, and I'm not so big that I'm like bulky, but I'm a good size for a person who is a top level footballer. Whereas back then I was super skinny and scrawny, and that was a part of the problem. That was a part of why I wasn't good as a striker. I couldn't out-muscle defenders. So I identified that as a problem, and I spent the time solving it. And now at this point, I have solved it emphatically. And now it's been, being a strong physical presence is a very important thing for a center back. So now I actually have a better build for center back, actually. So as a result, it's all worked out in the end. So let's hope, here's to hoping, that this trial works out in the end as well. So if you're really in that moment, just understand that if you put the work in, it absolutely is possible. It's all a cliche. It's all the stuff that you hear all the time. But what if you actually could be that guy, and you could actually make the most of your time and truly give it your all, and truly, even if you don't make it, know that you were the best version of yourself that you could be? That's really all you can ask for. That is absolutely all you can ask for. And that is my personal main goal on this journey, this entire footballer story, and how I am here, how I've made it to this point. And now I have this trial. And whatever happens in the future, truly let God's will truly guide it. Because I've pretty much done as much as I possibly could in my power, and I'm going to work as hard as I can through it all. But whatever happens is truly down to God's will. So, as I wrap up now, just understand that no matter how dire your situation, there is a way out. There absolutely is a way out. And there is a way to achieving a level of self-confidence that you never would have thought possible. As I said before, talking to that kid who just missed a tap in, who's talking on the field to himself saying, how's he ever going to make it? Just telling him that the experiences I've now gone through would be mind-boggling to him. It's just proof that it is possible. It is possible to make great things happen in your life. You just have to get through those barriers, those mental barriers. I had a coach once say that mentality is 80% of a footballer, and he could not have been more spot on, because I've had to learn that the hard way in many other aspects. You can have everything right, but if your mind's not right, you won't make anything happen. Nothing will come to fruition. You will make that mistake. You will fall, you will slip and trip. Even like something that seems circumstantial is down to the fact that your mind is not in the right place. You lose focus, then you're probably going to slip, and you're going to make a bad pass. Whatever it is that happens. I've gone through it. Mentality is the number one, but you have to understand that even if you're not in a good place right now, it is absolutely possible to get to that place where you're super strong. And I've made this journey, and I've been continuing to climb, and there's a lot more room for me to climb as well, and room for me to grow. But hopefully this serves an inspiration for you in that way, that no matter what pursuit you're on, that mentality and that level where you now find that level, that new level of self-confidence that you didn't have before, it is possible to reach that. But sometimes it is a long, grueling process. You got to be ready for it. But if you really want to reach true fulfillment and satisfaction from your life, you got to dive headfirst into the problems that you have and go and solve them. So, I thank you for watching this. I thank you for tuning in and listening into my autobiography, my footballer's journey and full story of how I am where I am now, leading up to my pro trial. Thank you. Thank you for being here if you're still here watching this. I really do appreciate your support. Show me your support by liking the video and commenting on the video what you thought of it. If you're new here, subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify. And I do appreciate you if you really did make it this far. This is a long, long episode for just a guy to be talking. But it's my story. It's my autobiography. Really, this podcast is really my autobiography, and also at the same time my faith journey. My journey of faith, my journey to Christ is really encapsulated in a lot of the episodes of this podcast. So go watch some of those great videos if you haven't yet. But I really do hope you enjoyed it. I really do hope you got some inspiration from it, and that you can truly grab life by the horns and make the most out of each and every day for yourselves as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And as always, I will see you tomorrow for the next episode.